Hey everybody, today we're talking about the ABRSM Grade 1 Timpani Solo Ceremonial. Now the first thing I need to do when I'm playing timpani solo is to figure out what pitches I need or what notes I will tune the drums to. Now the composer's been kind enough to write on the bottom in A and D, but we don't know which one is an A and which one is a D yet until we learn how to read bass clef, all right? Timpani is written in bass clef. And the very first note we see is 1, 2, 3 lines up, and that will be a D, all right? That's going to be our D. The next note we see right next to it is on the first space, the bottom space of the bass clef, and that's our A. So that lets us know that the high pitch is a D and the low pitch is an A. So our high drum will be a D and our low pitch will be an A. Now to tune the drums, it's something that you want your teacher to help you with. It takes a while to sort of develop your ear and figure out how it works. There's lots of ways to do it. You can use a piano, you can use a pitch pipe. There's apps on your phone that play pitches. You can use a glockenspiel or your friend's flute, whatever produces an accurate pitch. Learn how to get that in your ear, and then I'll show you quickly the process we do to make sure it happens. I'm using this fun thing called a tone bar. This thing produces a nice loud A for us. And what we're going to do is really listen to this A, get it in our ear, and then we're going to take the pedal all the way to the bottom, and we're going to tap it. And we're going to take it all the way up till it hits that A. Let's try that now. How's that? Fantastic. We also have the D. We're going to do the same thing. We'll take the pedal all the way to the bottom. There we go. How's that? Does that sound the same? It's a really good thing to do. You should practice it every time you play timpani. You get better, you get faster at it, and that's how you become a really good timpanist. Now, the next thing I look at when playing a solo is the time signature. And in this case, we have a 3-4. Now, the 3 is written on the top, and that's going to tell us how many beats per measure we have. So there'll be 3 beats in a measure, and the bottom note tells us what kind of notes those are going to be. If you think of the 4 being the bottom of a fraction, it's a fourth or a quarter. So it's 3 quarter notes per bar. All right, that helps us to understand how it's going to feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? The next thing we want to look at are the instructions that the composer has given us. All right? It's not lots of instructions, but Cameron Sinclair, our composer, has written just above the first measure the word maestoso. Okay? Now the word maestoso, you may not know, translates more to the word majestic. And majestic means sort of in beauty. And if you think about this being a very beautiful piece, and we compare that to the title is called Ceremonial. If you've ever been to a ceremonial, they're very formal and everything's sort of timed out and everything moves quite slowly in a ceremony. So I think we want to think about those thoughts. I think those instructions are really good to get inside of us before we start to play, because that's how we communicate the music on the page. After we've looked at the instructions, I like to give a little breeze through of the dynamics. And we start, there's lots of dynamics in this one. The very first measure, we are forte, and by beat 3, we are immediately piano. Okay, we're going to have to figure out a good way to do that. Again, same thing happens in measure 3. Big forte, immediately piano. Now, we know forte means strong and piano means soft. Okay, it doesn't mean loud and quiet. It means strong and soft. And in measure 5, we go back to mezzo forte, which is sort of an average sound. It's sort of just a pleasant sound that everybody can listen to quite easily. And then we're back to piano. And then in measure 9, we're back to mezzo forte, cruising along. And then in measure 11, we're back to piano. So we're jumping back and forth, back and forth. Finally, in measure 12, we have a very interesting thing, a crescendo. You see those two lines moving up, sort of outwards? That means that we're going to gradually get louder. Okay, so we're going to use each note to grow and grow and grow. And I just used the word louder, but what I mean to say is we're going to grow stronger. It's the same, really. You get to measure 13, and we're in forte, and it's the same as measure 1. Back down to piano, another crescendo in the measure following, and then you are forte until the end. Okay? This piece brings up a lot of stuff that we need to discuss. And the first thing I think we're going to discuss is probably the sticking, all right? There's a couple of places in here where I think you can understand that we want to know which hand we're going to start with because it sometimes helps us further down the track. And I mean very specifically measure 11, okay? Measure 11. If you're playing the way I'm set up, American system, where your low drum is on your left and your high drum is on your right, then this is all going to make sense. If you're playing a German system, where your low drum is on your right and your high drum is on your left, then you're just going to have to think the opposite of what I'm about to say. So in measure 11, if you notice, if we were to start with our right hand, which we normally do, we're going to be in a position where we're going to play 1, E, and suddenly, oh boy, it's quite a bit of jumping back and forth, which is possible and something that we do on occasion, but I think we're always looking for the most economical, the easiest path to get these things done. So I'm going to start with my left hand, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You see how we've done that? By starting on our left hand in measure 11, we've opened it up so that our right hand can easily make it to that top drum and back. We want to be equally strong on both hands. We can't help it that we have a dominant hand. That's great. We use that to our advantage as well. But also, we need to be able to do both hands when we can. So I think that's a good thing to look at in measure 11 and to look at in other spots and other pieces. Always look for stickings that help you make it easier on yourself. The next thing I want to look at is something that we haven't done a lot, but it's muting, okay? We talked about the very first measure. We got to play forte, and then there's a rest on beat 2, and we're immediately piano, okay? Now here's an instance where I think muting will sound really good. We're going to play the first beat, 1 and then we're going to mute right on beat 2, which means with your sticks in your hand, you got to find a way to get your fingertips onto the drum, push, lift, and then you're ready to play beat 3 at piano. So it's going to look like this. Very slowly, you're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1. Let's practice that together, right? 1 and mute and 3 E and 1. Okay? I think that's a really nice spot. It's quite musical to play 1 and mute, 3 E and 1. Great. Now I think we're ready for a play along. What we're going to do is set up the metronome here. One thing we didn't discuss that our composer, Cameron Sinclair, has done for us is he's told us our metronome marking. So our metronome marking right next to the word maestoso is quarter note equals 60. All right? That tells us the beats per minute, and that's the beats per minute that we enter into our metronome. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3. Okay, that's telling us what the speed of the quarter notes are. And 3, and, right? Now, something I'm going to say before all play-alongs, I'm going to say it when we play timpani all the time, so just get used to the reminder. We're going to pay attention to our playing spots. Check this out. We set up like a big pizza pointing towards the lugs. These are the lugs, the bolts that hold up the timpani. And we're going to play right here in the heart of this pizza, okay? We can hear the sound in the middle. It's very different that sound. And the sounds at the edge, also very different from that sound. Okay, the same goes on this drum right here. We're looking for this spot right there. And we're going to try to stay in the same spot because that consistency is very important to the timpani. Next thing we're going to talk about is lifting. Lift, 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 lift. Always lifting your sticks off the drum. Okay? We're never playing down into the drum. We're never doing that. We're always letting them fall, just dropping. We honestly just drop these sticks and they go. Gravity, it's fantastic. And we just lift, lift. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and have a little play along. We're going to start at quarter note equals 60 here. And I'm going to count aloud. I encourage you to count aloud. I'll be sort of talking through some instructions as we go. And let's give it a play. 1, 2, and 3, and play. 2, and 3, and 1, and mute, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, mute, and 3, and 1, and a 2, and 3, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and piano, 2, and 3, and a 1, and 2, and 3, 1, and a 2, and a 3, and 1, and a 2, and 3, left, left, 1, crescendo, 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, and crescendo, 3, and 1, and mute, 3, and 1. Now something fun that I do, I like to do that a lot at timpani, and especially when you're playing a solo. If you have something like that at the ending, feel free to sort of stretch it out and make it deliberate. It says, now we are done, right? Something like that. Now we are done. Feel free to make a big deal about that ending, okay? Now, I think that's a lot of fun. We'll have another play along where I'll play and I'll count you in so that you can play along with me, and we'll do it with the metronome, and I'll be totally quiet during that. All you hear is the metronome and the timpani, okay? If you have any questions, please send me an email. Hope you're having fun, and we'll talk soon. See ya. 1, 2, and 3, and 1. Ready, play.